or that you wanted to
that
know
I don't
about?
need a resolution.
Right.
I just want to have
Yes,
the
yes,
connection.
yes,
And
yes.
especially I have a brother that I lost
Yes.
when I was 26.
Right, so just more
So
for.
just the connection,
Right.
just to see that there's,
It's very,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's cool. Like I have a girlfriend who died and stuff like that, but it doesn't necessarily, like, she committed suicide, so it wasn't great, but.
yes.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. So thank you for coming out. It sounds like all of you actually know Joe from past things, so you probably, you may know more about her than I do. But we're super pleased that you were able to come out today. So Joe, as the principal of Behind Closed Doors, staging expert, and particularly when we're going into a shifting market, which is where we're at, what we used to be able to say a couple of years ago, which was staging, it's not really going to make a big difference. Let's just get the sign on the lawn and wait for multiple offers to come in. We know that's not the case now. It's not just our brokerage. Others in the area are holding on to listings that are sitting, and in a lot of cases, had they been sort of prepped in a bit of a different way, they may have had different outcomes. So I think your presentation is certainly coming at a timely point for us. So I'm going to leave you guys to it, and thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
I believe it is.
Oh, you mean they've heard our whole conversation
The whole,
about
it
Teresa
actually
Caputo?
does, yeah. And then usually what Andy does.
Oh, he
yeah,
edits it,
the
right?
light is
Doesn't Andy
flashing.
edit it?
The light
So
is
Andy
flashing.
will enjoy this, and then he'll chop it out.
And what he does is looks for things that he thinks are blackmailable, and
Oh, perfect.
I guess has email
That's it.
conversations
I
outside
love
there.
it.
And then they'll just put it in
Yeah.
for another day
All right,
file.
we'll just go see Teresa Caputo if you want to do anything with Andy.
So yeah, you all know me. Joe Bartlett, the owner of Behind Closed Doors. A little bit about me. From the time I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I was helping around the house, really getting my hands dirty, building kitchen with my dad. Decorating, wallpapering. I could tile from like a teen. So I really had this passion about transforming spaces. And actually my tagline is transforming spaces with passion, because that's what I enjoy doing. So fast forward a number of years, and I guess it was in my early 30s, I did an interior design diploma in the UK. I can't unfortunately declare that I'm an interior designer in Canada because you have to retrain for it, but I do pride myself in saying that I'm an interior stylist too. So I'm very proud of the fact that I seem to have an eye for not just homes that need bling and glamour and glitz, but really making a home feel homely and welcoming. And positioning myself in the situation of a buyer to be able to visualize what that home could look like. So the first thing I want to do is ask you, all three of you, just write down. You've got post-it notes in front of you and pencils, but you can feel free to use the pen. Just write down one objective that you want to get out of today's session, or one question that you really want answering out of today's session.
Oh, I already know that.
To do with home staging. You wrote yours down?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to take it up here. I'm just going to park it up here on this board, and that's okay, I've got it.
Objections.
Your objective, what do you want to get out of today? Or is there one question that you really want answering on staging?
Done. I don't know if I worded it properly,
That's all right.
but I was trying to articulate myself.
So my goal and objective personally is to be able to answer these questions and get you a comfort on what you have here, whether it's your objective or question. I also want to give you some hints and tips on things to do to be able to go to your clients and feel more comfortable with selling the services or recommending the services for staging. And staging is a loose term, so I'll cover that off too. By all means, this isn't the last time that you'll hear or see of me. You'll have my phone number. If you haven't got a business card, my business cards are there. My numbers are on the presentation and also on the banner. So feel free.
Looks very good.
Yeah.
Actually, I noticed that the door frame matches almost your
Oh yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
doesn't it?
That's funny.
Wasn't that well planned?
Where did you have that made?
Vista Print,
This, okay, good.
and it was very reasonable. Yeah. So I'm not here. Obviously, if I get any staging jobs out of you, that would be great. But I'm really here to try and get rid of some of the myths that people have and make you all feel comfortable to get to sit in front of your clients and have the tools to be able to do that, feel comfortable, and get a better price for you and your client, because that's ultimately what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help you overcome the obstacles that you come across. And by all means, drop me a text, an email, phone call at any point in time if you're struggling with you're getting the same thing happening time and time again. Give me a call and I'll help you out. Okay, so what is staging? Oh, anybody give me a definition of staging?
Is making a house look as good as it can, to present, I'm not using the right words, to show buyers
The potential.
its potential
Yeah?
and
So,
giving ideas on how they could live.
Oh, that's, sorry, that's not the right answer.
Oh, no?
no, it is.
I'm joking.
It is in part. So homestaging is the act. Homestaging is the act of preparing a private residence for sale in the real estate marketplace. The goal of staging is to make a home appealing to the highest number of potential buyers, therefore selling a property more swiftly and for more money. Staging techniques focus on improving the property's appeal by transforming it into a welcoming, attractive product that anyone might want to buy. Furniture and accessory rental is required. And that's key,
Right,
right? That last sentence.
right.
So, have you heard of showcasing or staging light?
No.
Okay. So, the difference. Showcasing does not always require furniture rental and may not require accessory rental. So what it is it's basically working with what the client has. Okay, and this is very important because when you go into your client, with your clients and you talk about staging, I'm sure it freaks them out. And they're hearing dollar signs, and they're hearing I've got to completely rejig my whole house, and I've got to decorate it, I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. There are instances where that is required to get the best bang for your buck, but not always the case. Right? So if I can ask you to take one thing away from today is knowing the difference between home staging and showcasing, or staging light, however you want to phrase it with your clients.
Can I say something?
Yeah?
No.
And from my experience with doing the showcasing with Joanne, it's been a lot easier to sell that to the client. And also because we all know that nowadays realtors are expected to either pay for staging or pay for half the staging.
Yeah.
And when you're doing the whole staging, and I have in the past when I was at Sotheby's, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And you know, it really does cut into any money that you might make on this listing. Whereas for the showcasing, the clients actually quite like it because
they're
it's
using
not
their own
as
stuff.
daunting to
Right.
them. That, oh my God, my furniture's going to go, where's it going to go? Then they're going to put other stuff, my house is not going to look like my house. And it is definitely, it's more affordable.
Yeah.
But it also makes that house look, I think, sometimes more homely because you're using,
Existing,
yeah,
yeah.
as opposed to a house that is fully staged, it looks like a fully staged house.
that's right.
Right.
And you start to see in certain areas, when you're looking through areas of
Yeah.
housing all the time, you're seeing the same
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
in
How
a
many
different
I
house.
went
So
into
it
one-
needs to
yeah.
have its own, you need to
Personal
work with the
touch.
house.
Yeah.
I don't know how many houses I've seen in Leaside that look the same.
Oh,
Oh, God, yeah.
Same
It's really
pictures,
good.
same
Better there.
house, same layout, and it just,
becomes
it's,
blah.
and people see this because
Yeah,
they're
they're-
sitting on the line
Yeah.
and they're going, looks the same, looks the same, looks the same.
I think it's much nicer. I'm all about the showcasing, and like I went into one house around the corner from me, and I counted the throws. There were like 12 throws in this tiny little semi.
Yeah,
Right, it was too
And
much.
I
Too
just
much.
thought,
Yeah, how
I
how
would-
cold is it
I-
in here?
as an
Does your
agent-
furnace work?
As an agent, I would be saying something to that stager.
Right.
What is going on with all these threats? Like I would just.
Well, just
Yeah.
not a good
But it
stager.
just, you know, you can, like with anything, right, you can overdo things.
Yeah.
And I love the showcasing idea.
So that's a key point, and some of the points that you did raise about making the homeowner
Yeah.
feel comfortable that you're not getting rid of everything.
Right.
Mhm.
However, it's down to you guys, unless you call a stager in to do the consultation officially and everything, it's down to you guys to have the eye to be able to know whether the key pieces of furniture, so beds, couches, dining table and chairs, things like that, we are able to use.
Mhm.
Because it's no good calling us in, we come in, there's chips all over the place, there's tea stains all over leatherware
Right,
and things like that, because it looks rubbish on your photographs.
Mhm.
And even if we can disguise it for photographs, I personally don't like to disguise things.
Right.
So, you know, I've been in the situation where I've been asked, oh, that floor's broken then, can you just put a rug over it? No, I have insurance, but I don't need somebody's heel going down a hole in the floor
That's right.
and I've covered it over. So
Right.
when I'm gone, if you want to, and I actually said this to the real estate agent, if you want to cover it over with a rug,
Go ahead.
I'm good. And I actually took a picture for my own benefit to cover my own backside. So, you know, there are rules around it. I'm not saying don't sell staging if it's needed and you know and you feel confident that you're going to get more money, then it makes absolute sense.
Yes.
Right, so but this is a good starting block for you to get in with the client and
Yeah.
make the client feel more comfortable. And you can do a mix.
For sure.
If the couch
Just knowing
is,
the difference between the two
yeah,
as
makes
part
it-
of your
It's like,
presentation
It's a big deal.
on staging, because some people are thinking, oh my God, they're dreading the, oh my God, I'm gonna have to change, right? You can give it up, and then it also becomes when we call you in, because we've decided that we're gonna have somebody come in and consult them on
Yes.
staging, then they're already prepared a little bit, so they're not panicking,
Yeah,
right,
it's a good
right? And not,
segue.
it's a good segue,
Yeah.
because they're thinking, oh, I don't want a stager coming in here, because they're gonna take everything out and make me put everything new.
Yeah, because some homes are impossible. Like you look at them and you go, okay.
where do I
like,
start?
It's true, well, because you're like, I guess you could repaint, like it's dated, it's an older home, it could, but they're never gonna go for taking everything out and
No.
putting all modern, hip and happening, you know what I mean?
So I'm going to
this
show
way-
you a few examples.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
really going to show you a few examples
Yeah.
of a mix, right?
and the thing is, as well, is that what they also like about it is that if you're saying to them, you know, I'll split the cost with you or whatever, it's not suddenly like a $9,000 staging job
Mhm.
that they're splitting, and it's like, oh, it's $5,000, you know, $5,000 or more than that for, you know, I'm sure that there are people in this office that spend a lot more on staging a whole house. That's a lot of money to people, whether they're selling their house because they're thinking that they want to make a big profit and they don't want to be paying $5,000 and they want to be paying $8,000 in.
No, they don't want to pay us, let alone the
Yeah.
stager.
Right.
Yeah, so I think showcasing is
It's a great alternative.
It's
That's-
definitely a
that's-
segue.
Yeah, no, it's good.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this was a condo that I prepared for sale. One of the facts there is, I'm sure you know, if the home doesn't sell within 60 days, you're usually starting to look at a price reduction, and that price reduction can be about 5%. So the sooner you get it off the market, on and off the market, the better. You can almost guarantee that staging won't cost 5% of what you're going to put it on the market for, right? So was this, I walked into this property. This is literally what I walked into. So you can see that the wall was partially painted. When I'd done the consultation, it was a dark, dark brown. So my recommendation was a colour. And it was an empty space. Right. So I turned up on the day of staging, and I had asked the client to, if he said that he was having a new bed delivered or whatever. Didn't make sense to me because he was moving, so why get a brand new bed, set it all up, and then move, and so you have to dismantle it and everything, but he insisted, so that was okay. But I turned up to literally this. So I made the, I had to, he hadn't painted, and I'd called in the morning of just to make sure that he was still going to be there, because he was very blasé, and you know, when it goes on the market, it goes on the market. His real estate agent, on the other hand, was like, I need you in and get this sorted. So on the morning of, he'd advised me that he hadn't painted. So I got my roller and I got and went and got the paint. And I did charge a little, I charged for the painting, and I did charge for the extra time that it took. But I literally went in, painted, so this wall is what I ended up painting. And I went in and made his bed up and staged it, or showcased it. So what would you think that would be classed as? Staging or showcasing?
Well,
So you're using his bed, or is that a new bed?
That's his bed.
and all his furniture? Oh, so I'd say showcasing. Yeah?
Yeah. So you could class it as a mix because you know, with showcasing I do bring inventory in myself, so it's a fine balance, and I think in every showcasing, every time I've showcased, I've brought stuff in.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm using all the clients' stuff. So yeah, this was a mix. But literally the bed, I think it was just the bed and this unit, and the side table was just the clients. Everything else was mine that I brought in. Okay, this is another example. So potential buyers try to see themselves living in a home, but only 90% of people, can't visualize a space. So an empty space, 90% of people, I find it astounding, but we're in the business and we know we have that vision. But there's a large proportion of people that if they walked into this is a living room, diner, breakfast, bar area, kitchen in a townhome in Eglinton, just east on Eglinton.
I know exactly where it is.
This was actually where I was asked to cover up the hole in the floor. But yeah, if you had this property online and it was showing this, or just didn't have the table and anything but had the empty space, do you think that you're going to get much footprint through that door? And you're really not. And part of my job is to make the property look great visually online, because we all know that everybody is looking online now for property. So unless it jumps out of them or they're attracted to it, they're really not. Unless the price reflects something that looks like the top, they're not going to turn up. They're not going to come and visit it. So So this is how it ended up being, the same, almost the same shots. This is a little bit distorted, stretched or whatever, just to fit on the page properly. But yeah, this is the before and this is the after of the living room diner. So it's definitely way more attractive.
And that's more staging.
So I was going to ask you, what would you class it as?
Staging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you didn't use any of that beautifulness. in the room.
Yeah.
Especially the broom.
Oh yeah, the broom. Is
Oh,
that what that is? I didn't know what that
Sticks.
was. Or the rake, whatever it is, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it's staged or showcased, there's inventory that I rent, and a lot of stages end up renting it. Basically because inventory gets turned around so much. If you're having to pay to store it, clean it, maintain it, you might have your own removal team or whatever. It starts getting expensive. The overheads for storage and everything, that you're going to feel it, right, in your pockets, because they have to pass it on to someone. So in terms of inventory that I have, you know, the lighting, rugs, the smaller accessories, the cushions, drapes, bedding, all that kind of stuff I have. I do have some pictures, but again, there's always new artwork coming out and everything, so if I had to store all that, it's not worth it for me, right? And I want to be able to do it at such a reasonable price to be able to pass that on. And I do it really for the passion, because I enjoy doing it. So yeah, this is staged.
That's Redpath in Eglinton.
Yeah.
Redpath in Eglinton.
Yeah, you know the townhomes behind
Oh, I know, yeah.
the...
Oh, Lily.
Yes,
yeah,
the
yeah,
Lillian,
yeah.
yeah, Lillian and Redpath. I could be wrong, but I believe that's
Yes,
the...
you are
yes,
right.
There you go.
Yes.
I've been in many of those.
Okay.
That's familiar.
So yeah, some of you might be familiar with this one.
It looks so much
Well,
smaller.
the picture, because of the picture, but
Yeah.
yes, beautiful home.
Yeah. So this was a great opportunity because I think it was going to be a tear down, or there was visions of it being teared down and whatever, torn down. And I was thinking, when I walked in, I thought, oh my God, it's a beautiful home. It can't be.
Oh, so
We
nice.
have to make
I
it
wanted
work,
to buy it.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the first time that I visited. That's what I walked into.
Right.
That's when you came as well.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And this is what it was transformed to. So here I used, the client had a big like L-shaped sectional, so I separated it.
The edge had to like sort it off almost. And it was so heavy.
But the reason why I didn't do it is because it was too heavy
It was-
to even lift.
It was so
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah,
And that was just the right amount of staging for that house.
Oh my
because
Yes,
it
it
was so
was.
big,
Yeah.
you couldn't do it all, but
No.
you just did the right rooms, so.
All the
Yeah,
furniture was so heavy. Remember when we were going down the basement stairs?
yeah. So this was, I would class this as showcase because the beds themselves, the couch I used, everything else.
Dining table.
Oh yeah, dining table and chairs, but I think everything else was what I brought in,
Right.
and a few things from the other clients. That's it. So this was a great example. And one question I have for you is, when you walk into a property and you first walk in, so you first walk in and it's like picture number one. Do you ever have a price in your mind, or are you mulling around, wonder what I could get for this,
For the
what
house?
what I'm gonna put it on the market for? At that very first instance.
Well, if it looks like the first picture, then you know it's gonna be priced lower than it would
Yeah.
at the second picture.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, it's a
I say
no-brainer.
that- I say that to people. I'm like,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
what price do you want? Do you want the price as is, or do you want the price?
Right, with staging.
If
Yeah,
we're
I mean, a
presented-
cluttered, dirty home is not appealing, and it will tack off from what you could list it at, for sure.
Yeah, and that's, I'm pretty confident in that when you walk in, at the very first instance that you walk into a property, you're like, okay, I'll probably go at this, in this price bracket, and then you know that the staging, and we'll talk about pricing, but you know that the staging isn't going to be astronomical or showcasing. But you also know that once you do that, I mean, the value of it, in this particular one, I believe that you got more than what it was listed for, right? And definitely more than what the staging cost.
Yeah.
I think what was nice about this was it really showed how large the rooms were. I mean, the house was amazing anyway. It could have been vacant, but when you staged it, it just gave
Yes.
it more warmth. Like it was
Yeah,
like, okay, I can
really,
envision
yeah.
myself living here because it was such a big house with so many rooms and connecting doors that when you went into the living room, I was like, oh, okay, it was much bigger, or the family room. This was off the dining room. I don't know, it was a weird house. Was that the living room?
That's the living room.
Right,
Yeah.
so it was much bigger, I think, with the furniture, it looked to me, than it would have had there been no furniture in it, right? Because rooms look so much smaller vacant than they do when there's furniture in it. Is that not true? When?
Well, and my
Yeah,
fear,
Providing
the
that it's not
perception?
overwhelming with furniture.
Right.
No, like just the
Because
right
it's
amount,
too
yeah, when
much.
it's got a ton, like it was
Yeah.
just
So
enough
all
to
that
say.
shit in the right corner, or the
Right.
left-hand corner, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to see the space.
Right, so it looks much smaller, whereas when you, yeah, provided it's not cluttered. Yeah, so I thought it was just the right amount, like it really made you feel the house was warmer, it was
Mhm.
more, it was huge, it was a really big house.
well, and
so.
also I think in this particular instance, with the thought of it being a tear down, the price could have been very different.
Yes,
Yes,
very
absolutely.
much, yes.
Cheryl and I had the whole discussion
Yeah.
about, she thought at first,
Are they tearing it down?
yeah, no, I believe they're,
Oh, you don't know?
They don't know yet.
Oh,
oh,
God.
they don't know yet. Yeah, because that was my feel when we were speaking about it was, I don't want it to be torn down.
No.
Personally, from a
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Well, yeah.
Renovated for sure, but
But
hopefully
also-
not torn down, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully, you know,
I
a
see the
tear down
potential.
price that you get versus.
Oh, it's huge, there's a big difference.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was a great success story.
Says the two agents sitting in there.
Another one of those, okay?
So this
Yes, please.
This was another property, different property, and the bathrooms, kitchens and living rooms are key. So one of the questions that you have here is, what is the best value added to the home when staging? I'm thinking that you might mean which rooms.
Yeah, I didn't say it properly, but like, when you walk in, are you like, okay, if you're gonna only spend, let's say, $3,000, where would you spend it best? Is it painting? Is it, I guess every property's different, but what do you find typically when you're doing that? Like, what would you say? Oh, for sure, I would spend the money on the kitchen or the bathrooms or whatever.
Yeah, so I definitely have something to cover that off
Yes.
later on. Yeah, so this bathroom, well, as you can see,
Is that major?
It's the toilet.
yeah,
I hate when the
it
seats
was
up.
not pleasant at all. And again, if you've seen, and I've looked even this week online at some properties, and some of the bathrooms do look like this.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And
I have
I'm
a
like,
great example of some listing that came out, and I was talking to a potential client this morning who had seen it, and she goes, you know, because the way the agent is talking about this place, and you look at the pictures,
They
and
don't
the fridge
match.
is littered with stickies, and the shelving is littered with crap, and it's like, really?
I know, it's tough.
Or you think people are stupid,
I
like.
know. It's so hard though when you have a client who doesn't want to do anything and it's like that, like it's a hoarder special and they won't do anything, right? Because then you're kind of like, I gotta market it as is, but you're right, the value and the pricing will be reflective of
and
that.
do you give before and after examples? Do you have any kind of pack or anything that you can even just flick through with potential clients?
No, but that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
That's a
no,
good
I
idea.
don't, and that's a great idea
So I'm more than
because,
Idea.
I'm more
Yeah.
than happy to take the branding off mine if you want and email it to you.
oh, that's great.
Keep your branding
Yeah,
on.
keep your branding.
Okay,
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
that's totally your
Definitely.
call.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't want to get into staging,
I said to
but
you, I was at a listing the other day, and it was a Harvey Callis. I can't remember the agent, and they had their stages brochure right next to the feature
Oh,
street,
interesting.
or the stage like that.
Yes.
And I would have that at the listings next time,
Okay.
and I would take that to the listing presentation because I want.
And that is a great idea because talking to my new neighbors, and they had said, we really want to get, they couldn't stand the agent that they hired for both transactions. Unbeknownst, I met them a couple of years ago and I didn't jump in because he said, they're my clients, leave them alone.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so they were asking me because they just loved the way the stager did their
Right.
house. And she says, can you find out, because it was through Designing Divas or.
Yeah.
And I said, actually, I know, because I know the head of designing, so I'll call her and see if she can give me. She didn't remember the name or anything, but she wanted to use her for the new house.
Right, for like
On
interior
paint colors
design.
and stuff, she said,
Yeah.
because everything was just so, I want that the
Right.
way it was. in
Well,
my
you're
new house.
selling that, like you do
And
sell
that's a
the
great idea,
dream.
because then
Yeah.
you can get double business, because people
Yeah.
need
Well,
that.
and apart from them moving to the other side of Canada, we had a client like that, didn't we? That she said, I just want you to come and decorate my
Yeah,
own place and
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, some people love the staging so
Yes.
much, they wanna keep everything, they're like, I
Yes.
wanna buy the house as is, you know?
Right.
So you are selling a whole.
A dream.
Correct.
You really are.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah, so this was very simple. Changing the shower curtain, cleaning. so-
Cleaning.
Yeah, so
That
you know,
sounds helpful.
you can call cleaners in,
Right.
and there's many that do great jobs. There's many stagers that won't get their hands dirty if they see something, you know, quick wipe or whatever.
Yeah.
I have and will continue. If I need to get on my hands and knees, I will do whatever I need to do to make that property look the best that it can.
For
I do
Clean
too.
all the windows. And
Oh, yeah.
I pick weeds and do it
Yeah, yeah.
right before,
Well, like, you
right? They don't
can't
wanna do
lie.
it, you're like, I can't.
It's pretty
show
hard
it.
to walk
Yeah.
by it and not do it.
I don't
Yeah.
mind. I mean,
No.
it's hard work, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't mind getting a little bit.
Yeah,
I
but you
I
wanna
certainly
limit
don't.
yourself, right?
Yeah, but once your name's on it, then you feel invested, right? You're like,
Yes.
this is a reflection of me
Yes.
now, so
Yeah.
this is
Exactly.
below my standard, so we will be
Yes.
emptying out the garbage cans and like you said,
Yes.
wiping down counters or whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's
that's
not
very
beneath
that's
me.
very key.
Yeah.
So the way I approach my business and my model is, it's your property,
Mhm.
right? Yes, you're calling me in as an expert, but ultimately it's your property. You got to sell it. All I can do is get as many people through the door for you, right? Get it on, not get it on physically online, make it look the best that it can online. The rest is over to you.
Mhm.
And that's the crux of it. So we have to work together. It's not a
Mhm.
case of me going in and telling you this is how it's going to be, because you know I will guide you and I will talk through things and whatever. And ultimately, the vision that I have in my head is my vision, and that's how it will end up being, pretty much. But there's a lot of dialogue, and Cheryl will attend to this. You know, if you have an opinion, I'm more than happy to take on your opinion. If it doesn't make sense to me, or I know that it's not going to work, then we have to have that conversation. But yeah, there's lots of potential out there for you guys with your clients. So this was another property that I did. So you can see that the wall colour really, when I walked in, I'm like, oh my life. And then if you paint all the walls, then the woodwork wasn't at its best, and then it's going to
It's a
show up
slippery
even
slope.
more, and oh dear, and this is going to skyrocket through the roof, cost-wise, for the client. So I had to work with the paint. The client's husband touched up some of the windowsill and the baseboard and things like that around the house and whatever, but I had to work primarily with what I got, because we knew that the client wasn't going to pay for painting.
Mhm.
It's an old house, and there was many more things that needed to be done other than painting. So you cut your losses at some point, right?
Mhm.
And again, you guys, I had this vision and I knew it could work, and it sold just like that, but
It looks great.
you just need to be at that level, you know. At this, the client was absolutely adamant, I'm not painting. So pick your battles with your client.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if you're comfortable with your stager or you're comfortable of your price bracket or whatever, then generally we should be able to work with what's there, right?
Mhm.
Might not be, you know, look like $1 million room, but you can only work with what you can work with, right?
Yeah.
So again, this was showcasing. So it was the client's bed, it was the client's furniture, pulled in from different rooms, changing things around. The artwork, the bedding, cushions, the accessories were mine that I brought in. So I do packages for the inventory based on the size of the property and how much we need and etc. This is another one. So this was the same property as the bedroom one that you just seen. That was what I walked into with the basement, and this is what it ended up looking like. So this was actually showcasing, where I've used. I don't think there's maybe just this little statue. Little accessory in that particular room is what I used. Everything else.
Well,
everything
they have a
else
lot
was
to
the client.
choose from.
Everything else was
Right.
there.
I just pulled it from different
Right.
rooms, moved things around a bit, made sure that all the bulbs for the lighting were working so that it makes it look brighter and everything. Decluttered. They did the majority of the work, to be fair. Them being the clients. So yeah, it's time. And obviously we do have to charge for our time. It's a business at the end of the day. But where you're saving with showcasing, you're not paying for the rentals and
Oh, I
things
know,
like
your
that.
house never looks as good as it does until you sell
Mhm.
it, because you're going through all your
It just
stuff,
makes
but
it that
it
much
needs to be
easier when
done.
not with your clients.
I think it's the easy thing or the better thing for us as agents is because then you become a third party, so it's
Yeah.
not
That's
us
right.
giving the
Oh,
advice.
that's what-
Yeah, you can deflect.
And you
say,
can deflect
"Oh,
that
it's
to
not
say, you know
me."
what, I'm
Yeah.
gonna come bring a stager in
Yeah.
and blah, 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 this is, you know, then
Yeah.
you give a little bit of
Then there's
spiel at
less
that.
arguments. Yeah,
And then it's up to you to
Yeah.
do your selling
yeah, it's hard
jobs.
enough to sell
Absolutely.
the house, let alone, you know what I mean, get involved in that aspect.
Yeah, because then you can
right?
even
So-
talk to them about cleaning up instead of us saying, oh,
Right.
you gotta clean this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Or else
Yeah.
you're not putting it on the market.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what the stager recommends, and I'm in agreement, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I think the showcasing is a nice segue because it's not full-on staging. I don't know, Joe, if you do more showcasing or more staging, or you find
I
your,
think it depends on the house.
it
right?
does.
So it used to
maybe
be
it's
a
the way
lot
people
more
live.
staging.
Yeah, now it's
Now,
more, yeah.
and that's my model.
Yeah,
It's really trying to do as much showcasing as I can because
Yeah.
it makes financial sense
Yes.
to you guys
yeah,
and to the client.
yeah,
And I actually like to be a bit creative with what the client has.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it works all round.
Yeah, and you're right, it gets people's head around the whole
And
concept,
then
like
you
you're
don't
not
have-
saying your stuff's garbage, it's like, we can work with this, I'm gonna have to bring in a few things, but, with what you have, we should be able to keep the costs and still
You don't
make the
have
house look
listings
great.
that all look the same.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right,
That's
yeah.
like-
That's
Yeah.
what I didn't like about
Yeah, because the
staging
houses
and
are pretty
everything.
cookie cutter as it is, so
Yeah.
the layouts are very similar as it is,
Yeah.
right? Living room, dining room, kitchen, la la la. But when it's more unique, then, because you can just tell. right
And it
away.
depends on the area, the age of
Yeah.
the house,
Yeah.
the type of clientele
Of
that you're
course.
trying to attract. There's so many variations
Yes,
to it
it's so
that
unique.
you don't, it is.
Mhm.
And that's reflected when we talk about pricing and things like that. There's no set price for any of this,
Mhm.
right? So that was showcased. So I wanted to give you some hints and tips. Be prepared with the knowledge, which is hopefully what I'm doing now, talking you through. Be armed with the tools and know the difference between showcasing and staging. I think it's key
Mhm.
to just get set that seed. Whether you guys want to continue with that and then, your stager kind of comes in as part of your team, or whether you keep it totally separate, that's your call. Right? It's totally up to
Well,
you.
sometimes you can tell when you go in a house when you're like, oh God, the whole place needs staging. Or actually, you know, there are some nice pieces in here that you could work with,
Mhm.
right? Or you could take half of it out and maybe, you know, but I'm always like, and my stage is going to call you, or whatever, and take it from there.
Yeah.
You have to try and kind of not own it to a certain degree, right?
Right, you want to
sure.
detach from certain
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
And
just say, I'm
ultimately
gonna
you'll call
introduce
it in.
you and then it's your call, but, you know, I've had great success with showcasing / staging and at least have the initial meeting so that you can see the potential of the home,
Mhm.
right?
So just be
When you live in
mindful though that
What?
before you have that conversation, have a sneak peek at the condition of
Oh,
the
of
furniture,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you don't really want to open that door for showcasing if it's
Right,
really garbage,
right,
right? Because
right.
they will stick on it. Oh my
Sure,
God, it's
that's
way
true.
less. So just be careful
Right,
with
yes,
that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
It's like I said to you the other day when I went to that place on Saturday, I could tell the furniture, it's nice, but he's got dogs and so he had everything covered, but I could tell underneath that it's really nice furniture.
Yeah, and it's probably
But I
neat
still
with the
like-
property and
Yeah.
everything too, so
Right,
so it can be used.
yeah.
Yeah, as well as being prepared with the knowledge, as part of this, I'm sure it's easier for you guys to have a one-stop shop. So someone who, if needs be, can go in and call in a painter, can call in a tiler if a little job needs doing or whatever, can arrange for things to be removed.
And you do all that.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing that I actually put down is things like this time of year, garage sales. So have that conversation about why don't you and the family, you know, if it's they've got younger kids or whatever, it's fun for the kids, right? Start getting prepared now because it can be a process, a lengthy process, right? So have a garage sale, get the kids to be selling for you, whatever, and try and get the family more involved where possible. And I've actually got a document that I'll show you briefly, but I will again email it to you if you want to be able to use it to leave with the clients. Make sure that they're aware that living in a home and the way you market and sell a property are two totally different things, right? We know it, but they don't necessarily always get that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You want them to crave mass appeal. So, you know, reiterate to them that this really isn't your home anymore in a gentle way. We want to get as many people through the door as possible. So I'm doing this in your best interest to get as many people through the door. And it needs to look great online to even get them people through the door. I need your property to stand out online. Talk showcasing to them, show them the before and after pictures. Right, so you asked me the key areas.
Yes.
Curb appeal is definitely, unless obviously it doesn't really have a curb and it's just a front door or whatever, but curb appeal is critical. People, when they walk through that front door, or some people even just do
Drive by, they will
Yeah.
determine whether they want
Right.
to go in.
Yeah.
10 seconds in that front door and they've already
Right,
got
made
an
a
idea in
decision.
their head, and we know that, right? So I think sharing this with your clients is key information, and they may or may not believe you, but you know, if you feel comfortable and confident in what you're saying to them, then, and they've already either called you in or they've got an idea that you're going to be their real estate agent, then hopefully they'll be confident in what you're telling them. Living rooms, kitchens and bathrooms, and and a master bedroom. You don't have to worry about doing all the other bedrooms or whatever. It's, you know, it's nice if it is, but if you're trying to work within a budget, then it's not always necessary, right? Because when you're posting it online, and marketing it online, they're probably the key rooms that you're going to be showing. And if there's outdoor space available, you'll probably want to show the outdoor space, because we all like a bit of somewhere to sit to have a glass of wine, right? So I'd focus on some of the outdoor space too. So the benefits of staging. Home stage prior to listing, sold on average within 18 days. Over 81% of buyers find it easier to visualise the property as their future home when it's staged. And when I'm saying staged, I'm using the loose term, staged, right? The money you invest in home staging will be far less than a price reduction. We touched on that earlier. Using a professional allows you to focus on the big sale. Staging helps sell dreams and creates a more emotional purchase. So the more that you can get the potential buyer's emotional attachment, the better. And that's also good to tell your client that you're trying to sell the house for. We want somebody to get emotionally attached because we want to sell it.
Well, that's what definitely drives the price.
Yes, absolutely. You want them to
Even if you get
purchase
three
with their
people
emotions, not their
attached,
pocketbook.
That's what drives the price, yeah.
Right. And then another point to be telling your clients is, you know, there's the option to carry the style forward into new house. So they might say to you, but this is my style and I like it and it's my home and I'm comfortable. Okay, but you can do that in your new home. So you probably have come across challenges, like I don't have the time or money to do any work on this property. So really I'd be telling the clients, we don't want to draw attention to the areas that need improving, as it will likely cause a price reduction. Whether that's a price reduction further on down the line, or whether that's an immediate, well actually I'm not going to put it on for $1 million, I'm going to put it on for $950 because there's all these bits of work that needs doing. So make sure that they're very aware that when I'm talking to this, I'm talking about minor repairs and things like that too, right? As soon as somebody notices that some paint's peeling in a corner, or that it's not clean, even clean, they're like, okay, well, what does that mean for the rest of the house? Am I going to find, you know, rat droppings somewhere, so that means there's an issue somewhere, and am I going to find this and I'm going to find that? So already they're ding, 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 how can I reduce this offer? It's a lot of money to invest. It's probably another objection. But your comeback is the price on the market will increase. So back to the question that I asked you almost at the beginning, do you ever walk in and have an idea in your head of a price, and then if you can visualize it staged afterwards, what the price difference would roughly be, kind of have that conversation.
Sometimes
This
it's like
is-
100 grand.
Right.
Sure.
You know.
That's why I think presenting some before and after pictures would
Yeah.
be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how I have my property. I think we touch base on that. You want to appeal to the mass market. And home staged, not staged, increase their days on the market. And I think we all know that. Right? It's so much harder to sell a vacant property unless it's going to be a tear down or something like that. And it's so hard for them to be able to, potential buyers, to be able to visualise the space and what it could be used for. So my top 5 seller tips: declutter and depersonalise. Show homes for their function. So this was a den and it was blue, and again they didn't want to paint it. So you make the best of what you've got, right? But you're showing it for a function. Very basic stuff that I used. And actually it was the clients that the desk and that was in a bedroom and whatever. But just show it for what it can be used for. Use neutral paint colours where possible. We know that. But again, we should be able to work with it. You know, there's enough variations for accessories and everything that you can kind of draw everything in. So unless it's some real way out there colour. Update lighting. So when I say that, lighting is key in every room, and the variation of lighting for the different effects that you want, and making sure that bulbs and everything's all nice and tidy, and but lighting is key, and create lots of space. Right, I know you've had some questions, so I'm hoping that I've covered off one of the questions about the key areas to focus on. The definition between showcasing and staging. Damn, I'm good.
Now we get to
Right.
Now we get to the
To the meat and bones.
Heidi, down to the, what is it?
Okay. Right, so let me, so that's just my information. I'm on social media, I'm very active on social media, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. I also have a website, and these are just some of the services that I do provide. So if you're unsure what I provide, just drop me a text, give me a call, whatever, right? I'm there, and please feel free to use my number if you just get stuck and you want answers on something. Right, so one thing I did want to cover off with you is I talked about a document that I'll email to you. I was going to add it on here, and then I thought it's too much online stuff. So, and I call it Preparing for Sale Checklist. Right? So what I have in there is I'm basically saying preparing your home for sale isn't always as simple as making the property look pretty. You want the best price, but ultimately what it is literally a checklist that
Which is great.
I would really like for you to give to the client at the first meeting almost. Give it and let them, physical paper I think is really good, even though we're in a digital world.
That's
or whatever, because they can tick it off. Oh shoot, I've got all these jobs to do, inside, outside, upside down of the house or whatever, but you know what? When they do 2 or 3, sweep all walkways, right? You know that selling the property is just overwhelming for pretty much anyone, and I've moved a few times and whatever, and I take it all in my stride, but I think I'm one of the few people that can do that. Lots of people just get, oh, I don't even know where to start, and then it is it. Leave this with them, let them just work through it, and if there's anything that you want to add to it or anything that you want to remove, again, feel free. If you're going to add or remove anything, then remove my branding too, because this is what I put out there.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
And yeah, and then they can give one to the kids, one to the husband.
Yeah.
They can divvy it up, right? So I'll make sure that I get that to you.
It's a good idea.
Well, it is, because most people think it's just putting a sign on. They don't want to do anything. And I'm
Yes.
like, you gotta do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most people aren't prepared, right?
right.
Yeah.
Their house isn't perfect and ready to go to market.
And it's also thinking, well, what do I have to do?
Yeah, get some
Oh,
on the road.
I know that I have to remove a load of clutter. What else do I need to do?
Yeah.
Right? So feel free, I'll send that to you. You've got packs on each table. I just wanted to run through this with you. So this is really what I leave with the client when I do a consultation. So the first couple of pages is the report that I send after the consultation.
Right.
And I generally send that to the realtor first, just so that you guys are very
Have
aware.
an idea.
Yeah, rather than
Prepared.
And she doesn't take like weeks to do it. I've had stages before that I'm like chasing and chasing and chasing because they take
Too long.
forever and a day.
But what I do
That's good though, this is nice.
is I leave these. So showcasing your home, just talk through what we've been covering off.
Mhm.
Already you're taking the word staging out.
It's nice
Right.
paper,
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Fancy.
So you're gonna send this to a soft copy and then we can customize it into our own paper
That's
for,
nice.
but if you are changing anything, please remove my branding then.
yes.
All right. Or if you have
I think it's
ideas to
necessary.
add things in, so if
Give
you
you an
think
idea and you can add
a
it.
few, yeah, I'm more than
Of course.
happy to do that and then
Yeah.
send it to you as the Keller Williams pack. I'm more than happy to do that. And then there's the declutter guide. And on here it gives them hints and tips on who to contact in the city for recycling
Excellent.
Oh,
and
that's
things
great.
like that. And it has links, hyperlinks.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you can email that to your clients too. And then they just click on it and they got
And
the
you've got
access
the
straight away.
contact.
That's really good.
It's a nice package to give to people, so
Yeah.
they're prepared.
So cost. Let's get to
Let's
the...
get to it. How many millions do we charge?
Right, so I typically charge $175 for a consultation fee. I do have an offer for
Like to
you.
do personal, do it.
Oh, wow.
It's a big part
It's
of
a
it.
bill.
It's a big bill.
Thanks.
I do have vouchers for you all for a special offer at $125 for a consultation. If obviously I get the job, then that gets waived. So $175 is my standard consultation fee, and I'll give you all a special offer of $125 to be used by the end of June.
Okay.
Okay. The consultation fee, it covers the time that I'm spending in the client's house. It also covers the detailed report that I'll produce afterwards. It covers the package that I end up leaving with the client to get them started and give them, so even if I walk away and I never stage or showcase, they can get started on doing some of the
What we
work.
need to do,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is great.
And the checklist, the starter checklist. So whether you give it to them or I give it to them, they've got it to get going. I also leave a little thank you note. So these cards, they're blank on the back and glossy on the front, and I've write little messages. So sometimes you might see them left, if you guys are comfortable with it, left as a thank you after I've staged. Sometimes I put it in the pack. And I always leave a couple of extra business cards in case their friends or whoever like it and whatnot. So the properties that I showed you on in the presentation are all properties that I've worked on, and they've ranged from 1,200 up to 3,500.
Staging or showing?
Or both.
Showcasing.
Any of the
Everything.
properties that I've showed you,
Yeah.
So they were a combo of staging and showcasing.
whatever they've been,
Right.
whatever they've been for them pictures, whether it was a mix or whether it was staging. So staging, I'll always price
So do you
what I
price by
rent.
the hour, or is it like, or is it every job is so unique that?
No, so what I'll price you on is my consultation fee, a separate package for accessories if generally I do, even if it's staging. I'll have my own inventory package. Then I will separate the furniture rental because that's a third party, and then my time.
Got it.
So if I think that it's only going to take a couple of hours, I'll charge you an hourly rate. If I think that it's going to be a day job or 2-day job, then it'll be a daily rate, right? So my daily rate's $250 a day. But if I was charging the hourly rate for a day, it'd be $350. So you're getting a discount of $100 if it's going to take me the full day to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last 3 properties that I've staged, they cost no more than $4,000. Stage, showcase, whatever. I think that was about 3.2 or 3.5 or something.
It's very affordable.
And I can tell you that so I showcased 3 listings, well we showcased 3 listings last year. And I think, well, Joanne was definitely the most expensive. well, the most I paid for showcasing. Every single one sold over asking within like 7 days. or 8
So
days.
worth it.
So it is. It's
Of
like,
course.
you know, whether you're splitting or you're not splitting it,
Yeah,
you're
however
spending
you're-
less or around 3.5, 4 grand,
Yeah.
or you know, depending on the size of the house, whatever. It's
Well, I just feel
It's
in
a
this market,
no-brainer.
you have to give people more. So if you can afford to offer some, like you said, either half of it or all of it, and it's relatively within your budget. Like, you know, when you're selling a $3 million home, people want something for that, right?
That's right.
So you have
Oh,
to give
that's a
them
question.
staging.
you should.
You can't just go, give me all.
So I have a question on a custom-built home, so it's brand new. 3,000, 4,000 square feet. What would you have staged? The main floor, maybe a master?
That's
Yeah,
what I
like she said.
recommended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not to stage the whole house because it's
Too
just,
much.
And don't forget the
How many
price
square
is
feet?
gonna be
3,000?
different because I'm gonna have to, whoever you get to do it is gonna have to bring furniture in.
that's
So
right.
we
You're
won't
not
be
working with
talking
anything,
the 3,000 mark,
No,
because you're not
right?
showcasing.
It's, right, well,
Well, there's no
if you have
furniture,
to,
right?
there's no
Right.
It's a brand
furniture.
new
Right.
build.
so it's highly likely, and I'm just being straight with you, and I'll always be straight with you
Mhm.
ladies,
It's probably
Um,
$5,000.
it's
At
gonna
least.
be at least 3. Like it's just
Yeah.
gonna,
It's gonna start at 3. So,
I wouldn't say start at 3, it depends, I mean, if you, it's hard to say.
But
Yeah.
you would do,
Because
so you
it's
do
the
dining
size of the
living
room.
room, the master bedroom.
Maybe the entrance
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and if it's got a
One
nice garden,
bedroom.
maybe you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
show a bit
Master
of
and
garden.
bedroom.
yeah,
Like, and
Okay.
you would do outside furniture? Like if
Yeah.
I had, okay.
and the consultation fee is the same, I bring you in,
Straight fee, doesn't make
You
any
use your
difference to someone.
coupon, and then if you use it. Use your voucher.
how much
Waive it.
Yes,
of that then becomes
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
cost and then, you know,
Sure.
splitting and stuff. Now, if you were to split, this is between you guys, have you ever done like a collateral agreement? Of people that you don't know if you're covering costs?
Richard and I did do it once.
Yeah,
'Cause
I've
we-
done it in
we-
the past
we
with people that I know,
Yeah,
to say, I know you don't have the money, but here, I'm gonna cover this
Yeah.
on the sale, and I've
Yeah.
had them write a letter,
Right,
goes right to the
Yeah.
lawyer.
I did one time.
Or a
This was-
cancellation collateral, if this listing is canceled and,
right, I'm
Yeah.
getting reimbursed in something. Yeah, you have to put something in
You
writing for
sometimes,
that.
especially I always think if the price is not the price that you have picked,
Mhm.
and they're leaving the price,
Mhm.
and they
Right.
want to help it, we totally put them.
better to stay away from that and let them pay for it all.
Well, or you're losing money.
Well, yeah, or if you want me to, yeah, this is what you're gonna have to sign now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have something, I think, a standard, something typed up saying, if you use staging services, then.
Yeah, because how much
However we decide
of
to
the
do it.
time would you, put in, you know? I don't mind covering certain costs and stuff, but then, you know, we have to kind of cap ourselves.
Well, and
too,
it
right?
also depends on how long it's on the market, like, and like that house could be on the market for, like, that's my big thing when you're staging, it's the 30
Well,
day,
it's like the
60
pricing,
day.
it's how do they wanna price it?
Yeah, yeah, because even if it's staged, now stuff's sitting longer and longer, right? It's just the market we're in.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with
Sometimes it's the
pricing.
price.
It's
Yeah,
most of the
And that's
time
what I say
pricing.
to my clients, I'm like, it's, you know, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna sell this or not sell this?
Yeah,
Well, it is true, I just find a lot of sellers are in the two, they're living 2 years ago, right?
well, they still are, yes,
That's what I'm
absolutely.
saying,
Yes.
currently, a
And
lot
there
of
are
stuff's
some
sitting
agents
for
that
us.
don't know how to have a proper conversation with their clients and tell them what the price is. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, they're not realistic
Okay.
when I look at the pricing.
Yeah.
A lot
No.
of homes that are sitting are
Yeah.
just overpriced.
Oh, I have an overpriced
when I
that's
looked
sitting
at-
there,
when
but
I
it
looked
just,
at-
because I've got it tenanted, but I'm thinking I'm gonna pull it off and just say, you know what? Because I don't think they're doing the house any favors by the way they live, because even just
Right.
looking at the door and I'm like, okay, so you're not going out of your way, because I've asked them.
Right, tenant's always so hard.
it is a tough job that you're, and a tough business that you're
Yeah.
in. It is.
Without offending people, right? Because
Right.
you want to be careful.
Well, I mean, it's hard.
It's very delicate.
Yeah.
Cheryl and I did a job, and you come across all situations, right? One of the clients had a young boy on the autism spectrum, and to go into his room to move anything, he had the white gloves, and you don't walk in my door without my permission, and you don't move anything. And it's difficult.
Yeah.
It is difficult, so you have to be able to handle them situations. And as a stager, that's one thing I feel very proud of, is how I approach clients without going in there and saying, well, you're not going to get anything if you don't do this and you don't do that.
Yeah.
You've got to work with people. They've got to feel comfortable with you and in your ability.
Yeah.
So I hope, ladies, you found it really useful.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
Amazing.
And I'm happy to share everything. And I've covered off your questions, but if you have any more, let me know.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, yes.
All right, thank